Hey everybody, welcome back to another super exciting Monday in the Art of War Streamhouse. We are bringing to you our usual weekly tournament coverage. 2024 is kicking off strong with enormous tournament numbers and attendance and amazing results over here. So we've got the Nottingham 40K Super Major, which is a major in the UK, and it had 345 people in attendance. We're going to break down who won, what list they used, who else did really well, the people who went X and 1, the people who went undefeated but didn't make that top cut, the people who maybe went X 0 and 1, all that stuff. There's like 12 or 13 undefeated players here that we got to get through. And we're going to break through their lists. We're going to break through their strength of schedules. We're going to break through kind of some meta nuances. They have their own terrain over in the UKTC. So we're going to really kind of get into the nitty gritty of what did well, who did well, why did it do well, and kind of break all that down. If you are new here, every single day we produce Art of War 40K content for you centered around competitive Warhammer and helping you learn the game and become your best. So if you like that, please subscribe to this channel. You'll get notified every single time we produce daily content. Like the video, leave a comment. It really helps us continue growing the channel. We just recently hit 50,000 subs at the end of 2023, and we're in the process of upgrading our whole entire studio setup so that we can bring even more amazing, highly edited, beautiful content to you right at your doorstep. So please continue showing your support, smash that subscribe button, and let's get right on into it, So we have the Nottingham 40K Super Major over here, and as you can see, we've got Josh Roberts, who has been the captain of the English WTC team for many years. I don't know if he's the current captain, but he is a very accomplished Warhammer player, and he's playing Necrons, and he had a very stellar performance here with 100, 100, 100, 95, 100, 100, 92. His lowest game was the finals, and it was a 92-point win. Really goes to show you the power of Necrons as a scoring points factory-style army, and just how strong they are. Now, notably, Games Workshop has done a really good job in recent history about coming up with FAQs and erratas to really help balance the game out. This event... just very recently, Games Workshop just came out with one that nerfed the Necron Immortals combo. Basically, it meant there's a combo in Necrons that allows you to make your entire unit of Immortals fire like 1,000,000 shots and do mortals and devastating wounds and just totally destroy somebody. That stratagem has been nerfed so that it only works on Cryptek models, so like the dude joined to the Immortals or whatever, not the entire unit. Huge change to the Necrons, but far from backbreaking. They have a lot of depth to this codex, a lot of different stuff is good, and obviously it's not hitting the number one offender in my opinion, which is Wraiths. With that said, this Nottingham Super 40K Major did not use the FAQ. It came out like 2 days ago, and the lists were probably already in the deadline form, and a lot of people have their armies settled and travel and all that, so you're playing with what you're playing with here. So Josh Roberts took it down with Necrons. Then we've got Jokal Johansson, another amazing player on Team Ignite, going 6-1, losing to probably Josh, I assume, in the finals with Eldari. Jonathan Partridge with a Tyranid's army who's gone 5-1, and a pretty different looking Tyranid army than we've seen all over that's been doing successfully. So that's really exciting to see. It's really cool to see Tyranids doing well with a variety of builds. They've kind of been falling a little bit by the wayside based on how the meta has been evolving and how players have been adapting, but it's cool to see they've been doing really well and with a different style army to what would be conventionally considered good. I'm going to see if we can actually get an interview with Jonathan for the Art of War podcast, where we interview weekly tournament winners and people who place really highly with new and interesting lists. So if you like that, you can check that out on AOW40k.com or also on this YouTube channel. Every week we release episodes if you just hit that subscribe button. So then we've got Ed Watts with Black Templars from Glasshammer. Really nice faction there. In the Swiss bracket, which is basically everybody who didn't make top four, not totally sure what the formatting of this tournament was. If anyone was in attendance, perhaps you could shed some light. Like Crust, who is one of our War members, and he has a £2 super chat. I managed to snag myself 11th after a 98-98 draw. That is amazing. Hell of a game, Crust. Really well done. So we've got Paul Krogan with the Tired Dads Club. I like that name. He is rocking it out with the Necrons. Luke Quadling from Worcestershire Sorcerers, hopefully I said that right, with Eldari, Manny Chima with World Eaters, Liam Calaboot with Dark Angels, Nassim Fouchain with Astra Militarum, Ross Law with Chaos Knights, and then that 98-98 draw, Matt Bell in 11th, also known as Crust, thank you, with Necrons, and Will Whitaker with Chaos Space Marines in 12th. And then we kind of get a little deeper with Brian Sipe going 4-1, and so on and so forth. So just breaking down our top 12, we've got 1, 2, 3 Necrons. That's not that bad. 25% of the top 12 is a little high, but normally you'd expect the number one faction to be kind of more represented out there, and it's brand new, so people have not figured out how to work around the stat check and the problems that this new Necron army poses. So I actually am not, and this is pre-FAQ, that's not as bad as I was expecting. Then we've got Joko with his Eldari, then 1, 2 Eldari in top 12. That's pretty not that many. Jonathan Partridge has got 1 Tyranid sneaking in. Black Templars. We had 2 Eldaris. Yeah. World Eaters, Dark Angels, Astra Militarum, and Chaos Knights and Chaos Space Marines. So a super diverse top 12, which is kind of what we've been seeing lately over in the States as well. Like, diversity is at an all-time high, I would say, or it's definitely at one of its high points in Warhammer meta history. As you can see, pretty much everything is viable. Maybe not literally everything. Some factions don't get some love, but most armies can be played effectively at the top tables as well. So let's get into some of these army lists, like Josh Roberts over here. Now, this is on the Best Coast Pairings website. We literally always get questions about where I find this data. If you are on bestcoastpairings.com, you can search up any tournament that doesn't just limit it to Warhammer 40k. So if you play games like Magic the Gathering, whatever, there's also tournament data on that. If you make an account, the data doesn't leave, and then you can look for it anytime. So he's got Illuminor Xeres, Overlord with the Translocation Shroud, 2 Plasmancers, 3 Technomancers, so pretty character heavy compared to what I'm used to, and very not Satan heavy, which is something I typically see as well. Very interesting divergence there. And then this is, of course, the Canoptic Court, which tells me that we might see some number of rates, hopefully not 18. 20 Immortals with the Tesla. This is the combo that got nerfed in the most recent FAQ, however, was not in effect here, so these things just shoot at tons of devastating wounds and kill whatever they want. 2 units of 3 Canoptic Ankinthrites. I have no idea what those are. They're probably just like tough to kill mission play stuff. 1, 2 Doomstalkers. I really don't understand the love for the Doomstalker. Everyone's been running these things. I've played against them so many times, and I'm so underimpressed by these things. But they are cheap for their durability, and their gun is potential of doing a lot of damage. Random unit of 3 Scarabs, and then there's the 18 rates. We all knew. We had hopes, but we all knew. So really impressive run by Josh Roberts here. You can see the raw power between 18 rates and 20 Immortals being the crux of his defense and his offense there. That rates are so good at dominating the table, being super tough to kill with the Technomancer, double healing them, and 5 feeling pain them. He's got like 3 different enhancements up in here, so they're just doing whatever they want. One of the units is going to infiltrate. Then, of course, you have mission play in the form of those Scarabs and those Archanthites, and it's just a great army. Really well done by Josh over here, who went 7-0. I'm not sure who all of his opponents are. With a 7-round tournament, it's a little hard to see everybody's strength schedule, but as you can see, his games start to get very hard in the last 3 rounds. Chris Canero was one of his actual teammates at the 2023 World Team Championships. Ed Watts is our top 4 member with Black Templars, and then Jockel Johansson in second place here with Eldari. Speaking of which, let's take a look over at Jockel's army list. Jockel's got an Autarch Wayleaper with the Phoenix Gem, Fugan, a Spirit Seer, and the Incarn. Stop me. Have I ever seen this before? Oh my god. His list is titled Speed, and it's only 1985, so that's... I'm curious to see where this goes. 3 Night Spinners. How come Eldar players don't evolve ever? Why is this a thing? 5 Swooping Hawks, 5 Warp Spiders, 5 more Warp Spiders, 5 more Warp Spiders. Ooh, what a variation. 15 Warp Spiders. Then we've got 10 Wraithguard. Okay. 0 points for originality, like literally 0, but probably 10 out of 10 in effectiveness. Really well done, and keeping Josh to a 66.92, that's a fairly large win for Josh. But honestly, the fact that Eldari army can even hang with that Necron army is actually pretty impressive. To my untrained eyes here, I would assume that Necron army's actually got everything it needs to beat that Eldari army down. As you can see, it certainly did. But I imagine Jackal did better than pretty much all of Josh's other opponents, keeping him to his lowest score at a 92. And as you can see, he's got 5 100s in the bank. Jonathan Partridge, possibly the most interesting list at the top end of this format, this tournament. He's got Tyranids, Invasion Fleet. We've got Death Leaper, a Broodlord, that's something you pretty much never see, and then a Walking Hive Tyrant who is perfectly adapted to have 5 of Feel No Pain. We've got 3 units of 10 Termagants, just little cheap mission play people. In Invasion Fleet, you can heal them, so there's a lot of tactics you could use to potentially string yourself out onto objectives and then get shot, pull yourself out behind some terrain as you pull your casualties. Now your unit cannot be fully killed since the rest of it remains out of line of sight, and then in your command phase, you can just regrow your unit and reclaim that objective with your OC2 bodies. So interesting to see that you rarely see Termagants, pretty much often and always taken the HCZ Gargoyles instead in this slot. They are 15 points more expensive, and obviously this list is breaking conventional norms here. So we've got a Biovore, 2x5 Gene Stealers. I just don't understand. I mean, I love the idea of having cheap infiltrating units to stop people from World Eaters scouting up on you, to get mission play going early. I mean, I think that's generally good. 85 is steep for such a fragile unit, although they are 2 wounds each these days. But having 2x5 and attaching the Broodlord to 1 is also interesting in and of itself. Just given that you would think the Broodlord would want to join a 10-man to really make use of the leader ability and what it gives the unit. Nonetheless, 2x5 Gene Stealers, 1-2 solo Pyrovores, 3 Raveners, that's all standard here in mission play. Then we've got 3 Tyrant Guard with Crushing Claws and Running Claws, so they're going to join that Tyrant, I'm sure, and that unit's pretty much just not going to go down. I mean, if you put Feel No Pain on that thing, I've literally had it survive 2 rounds of combat with Abaddon, the 3 Tyrant Guard and a Tyrant in Tyranids and Invasion Fleet, and I've never seen anything survive 1 round of combat with Abaddon, let alone 2. So, yeah, that unit's tough. We've got Zoanthropes, a unit of 6, 1, 2, 3 Exocrines, a Haruspex, and a Trigon. So pretty, it looks like normal Tyranid stuff with a few snowflakey choices like Gene Stealers, but what I find super interesting is just like what tools it's actually foregoing. It doesn't have Neurolictors, it doesn't have Gargoyles, and to me that's like the crux of the Tyranid scoring and anti-scoring. Gargoyles are so strong at move blocking your opponent, stealing objectives from out of nowhere, and just generally being an absolute pain for your opponent to deal with. And the Neurolictors, very similarly, amazing lone ops. There's like 65 points, they have 4 Binfuls, there's 7 wounds, the T5, Games Workshop, what were you thinking? And they force battle shocks to units within 12 inches at the command base. So it's just like, man, contesting an objective is usually a matter of math a lot of times in basic counting, where, say, 5 Space Marines is OC10, they have a monster on it, I can always just move enough Space Marines to steal the objective, but then boom, take a battle shock in the Tyranid's command phase, and you fail that battle shock, and the Tyranids get the primary. That, coupled with Gargoyles, can create massive swings on both ends of the primary to really leverage wins. And the fact that we're just not seeing any of those choices here is truly a little bit inspiring and a little bit head-scratching. So I'm going to see if we can get Jonathan Partridge on the Art of War podcast coming up to see if we can figure out exactly how this Tyranid list won. If you're interested in that, again, check that out on AOW40k.com. All right, we've got Ed Watts with Black Templars. Now, Black Templars, I believe, are one of the most high win rate factions in the game, and I personally find them very terrifying as an opponent on the table, so very curious to see what this looks like. We've got a Castellan with Tannhauser's Bones, Chaplain Grimaldus, High Marshal Helbricht, and a Judiciar. So far, so standard, I would say. I don't usually see the Judiciar these days, but he also has the Sigismund's Seal. I'm just not going to pronounce these Space Marine names. 5 Crusaders, 5 Crusaders. There it is, the 10 Crusaders, and 10 Crusaders, and 10 Crusaders. And then the 20-man brick of Crusaders. And another 20-man brick of Crusaders. And then another 20-man brick of Crusaders. Oh my God. I've never actually seen this army written down on the table. I've never actually seen it. This is Crusader spam taken to the fullest. I've seen Space Marines try Crusader spam in theory. It's always a conversation that floats around in the competitive circles, but to see someone actually bust out 20, 40, 60, 70, 80, 85, 90, 95, 95 Space Marine bodies in various durability levels and power fists and galore, running around the table is really inspiring. I gotta say, that's a pretty cool army. I would love to see what that looks like physically on the table. But we're not done. We've got 1, 2 units of 5 scouts, because scouts are just insane. They help with mission play, they screen, they move block, they infiltrate, they do it all. And then a Calidus and an Eversor. I am not entirely sure what this army's path to victory is beyond just sitting there and outscoring people. You can obviously do something like fix, deploy homers, and cleanse, and just have a billion OC2 bodies that are moderately durable, hiding behind terrain, cleansing, and deploying homers on repeat. And then your opponent has to come kill all these Space Marines while they're dominating primary. You have access to advance and charge, and you just go on to objectives and things like that. Really, really nicely done there. I'm curious what this strength of schedule was. Again, I'm not super familiar with all of these names or these opponents, but his only loss was to Josh Roberts, the inevitable victor of this tournament in the 6th round. Josh scored 100 to Ed's 65. So that could be another game where the Necrons actually were able to kill enough Space Marines, probably through those Immortals, just going at somebody with Dev Wounds, and the Black Templars were not effectively able to respond by getting through the Wraith Wall, would be my guess. As we go into the Swiss bracket, these are the players who I don't think made the top bracket. I don't really know how this worked because they all seem to be undefeated. Maybe there was tiebreakers to determine a top 4, and if you didn't make top 4 but you went undefeated, just sucks to be you. I don't love that format at all, but I wasn't there, and I am speculating on what I think the format could be rather than reporting what it actually was. If anyone was there in the actual event and you could shed some light on how the Swiss bracket format worked out and why everyone's undefeated, please do let me know. Okay, so then we got Paul Krogan. We'll see how different this list is to Josh's. Old Tin Can, so he's had a Necron army sitting in the back for who knows how long. We've got a Chronomancer, an Overload with the Shroud, a Technomancer, and a Technomancer. Yeah, this is typical. With 2 Technomancers, we're probably only seeing 12 rates here, so I like that. I'm not seeing any Satans, though, up here, so that's another factor. 10 Immortals, 1, 2, 3 Doomstalkers. What is going on with all these Doomstalkers? I have to be missing something. Everybody is on them, and I'm just not seeing it. And then there's the 12 rates. We've got some Crypto Thralls, 2x5 Death Marks. That's another oddball choice you don't typically see, but I think at 65 points they're quite interesting. They deep strike. They're 65 points. They're kind of tough to kill. They have damage 2 shots. What's not to like? 1, 2, 3 Locust Destroyers with Gauss Cannons. Love that. I think I love that. And then 2x3 Locust Heavy Destroyers. So a lot of actual firepower coming out of these things. You have 2x3 Locust Destroyers and Locust Heavy Destroyers and 3 of these Canoptic Doomstalkers. So you have a lot of high strength, high damage, high AP shots coming from cross table, and then you protect it with your 12 rates as like midfield skirmish nonsense. And then you have 2x3 Tomb Blades with their Fire and Fade ability to just like mission play skirmish more. Really nice list, a little bit less all in on defense and Tesla broken Immortals than Josh's, but still, it's got Immortals with the Tesla combo. It's got more long-range firepower from the Locust Heavy Destroyers and the 3rd Doomstalker. Less beef from the form of only 2 races instead of 3. Really amazing list nonetheless. And simply put, Paul did really well. He knocked out Courtney Rhodes, who used to be one of the top players in the UK. Not familiar with many of the other opponents, but you don't get to be up here without having tough games. Luke waddling with Eldari. I'm going to click this. I'm going to click this, Luke. And I want you to know that if this is triple Night Spinner and Incarn and Race Guard, I'm just going to click out. So here we go. Autarch, Farseer, Illic. I like Illic, Spirit Seer, Incarn. There's the Incarn. Only 2 Night Spinners. Okay, you got me to stay involved. You got me into the list reading mindset. Good job. Whoever wrote this, I'm sorry. 2 Night Spinners, 5 Rangers, 5 Shadow Specters, 5 more Shadow Specters, 5 more Shadow Specters. How interesting. We took a different, really fast, insanely powerful data sheet like Shadow Specters and replaced our Warp Spiders with them. Innovative. Then we've got a unit of 3 Shroud Runners. I actually like Shroud Runners. I think they're super underutilized, and kudos to you for doing that. No sarcasm. Then we've got the 2x5 Hawks, and then the 10 Wraith Guard. Okay, so if we gave the first Eldar list that made top 4 from Jokul a 0 out of 10 on originality, we're going to give this a 2. We're going to give this a solid 2. We have things like Illic with Rangers, we have Shroud Runners, we don't have Warp Spiders, but beyond that, what are we talking about here? You only brought 2 Night Spinners. Bonus points for that. You have a 3. You have a 3 on originality for not bringing Warp Spiders. This is out of 10, everybody. Manny Chima with the World Leaders. I'm very curious if this is similar or copy pasta of Anthony Vanilla's list. But at the same time, I will say Manny is a very original list writer. So we will see what he's come up with. Angron, Karn, and a Master of Executions with the Berserker Glaive. Okay, so it's technically different than Anthony's. Anthony has a 4th character. Then we've got 2x10 Jackals, 10, 20 Berserkers, 2x10, and 2 Rhinos. That makes sense. 3 8-bound, 3 8-bound, 3 8-bound, 6 Exalted 8-bound, 6 Exalted 8-bound. Okay, so it's not really different in strategy or approach to most conventional World Leaders lists. I mean, how could you be? But it's not even that different in the unit choices either. It's really, this looks like stereotypical World Leaders to me. And stereotypical World Leaders are very strong. Anthony went 5-0 with those World Leaders. Liam Calboot with Dark Angels. Now, again, this is going to be the Ironstorm Spearhead with Azrael, Lieutenant with Combi Weapon, and Master of the Machine War. 2 Tech Marines with a variety of different things. This is, you already know you're going to see tanks in this thing. An Inceptor Squad, we got 2x3 of those. 5 Infiltrators with the Helix Gauntlet. Now, most people don't run Infiltrators, so it's very interesting to see Infiltrators, and I think Inceptors are like a take 15 kind of unit, take 18 kind of unit, minimum 3x3. I think you'd be nuts not to run the 3x3, so here we only have 2x3. I don't know. We do have some company here that I skipped over, 2x5 Scouts. And then there's the vehicles. We all knew they were coming. I actually am surprised this had as much infantry as it did, but nonetheless, a Dark Shroud, 1, 2, 3 Redemptors, Repulsor Executioner, and a Storm Speeder Thunderstrike. Honestly, this list is not what I expected it to be. I expected to see more Repulsor Executioners. The Triple Redemptor doesn't surprise me, but I just expected more vehicles in general. Impulsors are not bad. Storm Speeders, I expected more than one of those. I feel like taking things like Infiltrators is actually a really good tool here. Even though most players do not run Infiltrators, having something that just hard stops the deep strike shenanigans brought to you by certain factions is really, really good. And it's not that much more than like a scoring unit, So I quite like that. Liam, it's a nice list. Then we've got Nassim Fouchain. Now, Nassim likes to shoot people. He likes to shoot people and end games on turn 1. And he's brought Astra Militarum. I wonder how much indirect is in this list, because that is a good army to shoot people and table in turn 1. At the same time, I could see Nassim just bring all of Lehman Russes and just tabling people that way, adding a few Hellhounds. I could also see Chimera spam. There's a lot of good things in Astra Militarum that are very underexplored in my opinion. So let's see what Nassim is rocking. In Guard, we trust. We've got Lord Slor Leontis, a platoon command squad that somehow costs 100 points. We've got a tank commander. And these are both Demolishers, and Ursula Creed. 10-man Catachan, just cheapest infantry you can get access to, and 10 Death Corps. Creed, pretty minimal infantry. We're probably not seeing that Chimera spam I was just talking about. A Bulgarin unit with 6 Bulgarin, 2 units of 6 Bulgarin. That is something you don't see every day. That's a lot of beef to box in midfield against those rates and things of that nature. 1, 2, 3 units of Kazakin. Everybody's talking about the 30 Kazakin. I'm not seeing the 30 Kazakin. What's going on with the 30 Kazakin? 1, 2, 3 Manticores. We knew he was tabling people turn 1. It wouldn't be Nassim if he wasn't tabling people turn 1. What are we talking about? 1, 2 Scout Sentinels. Honestly, I think this guard list is a little bit less assuming than it meets the eye. It's got 2 Lehman Russes, 3 Manticores, and a lot of infantry, a couple Scout Sentinels to move around. It's surprisingly weak to indirect fire, but I guess you have the Manticores to hunt their Night Spinners. Very interesting to see how this did. Let's take a look at his strength of schedule. Not super familiar with most of his opponents until we get to round 4, Brian Sipe. Brian Sipe is a member of Team America at the moment who is playing Orcs in this very tournament. And then we've got Alex Harrison, the infamous, who has been running, he's always a top contender at these events. So knocking out both of those players is quite demonstrative for Nassim as to the power of Guard along with his generalship. So we've got Roslaw over here with Chaos Knights. Now, let's take bets, folks. Let's take bets. Do you think this will have a big night or 0 big nights? And then if 0 big nights, are we talking 12 dogs or the full 13? These are the questions. I'm personally going to go 12 dogs plus demons. That's my guess. We've a loading error. No. There it is. We've got a stalker. 2 stalkers. You never see 2 stalkers. Cool. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brigands. 1, 2, 3, 4 carnivores. So that's 11 dogs. 1 less than I predicted. And then we've got 1, 2, 3 nerdlings, Selesky, and the changelings. A little bit more demons than I would have thought. And 2 stalkers is extra interesting because most people hate the stalker in favor of spending 10 more points and getting a brigand or spending 10 fewer points and getting a carnivore. So very slight variations to normal Chaos Knights list there. But, I mean, when you have 4 to 5 data sheets in your data sheet roster, variationing them does matter. Matt Bell from Glasshammer going 4-0-1 with Necrons, also going 4-0-1 against Will Whitaker, who's gone with his Chaos Space Marines. So these two drew each other in round 2. And Matt super chatted. Thanks, Matt. So Satank, this is the Canoptic Court as well. No one's trying Hyperphase. I really feel like if you're going to run Satan, you want to run Hyperphase. But I'm not a Necron guy, so I don't know. We've got the Nightbringer, we've got the Void Dragon, Hexmark, Overlord of the Translocation, Shroud, Plasmancer, Technomancer, and a Transcendence. So triple Satan, love that. Nightbringer and Void Dragon are my 2 favorites. 10 Immortals with the guy. They make the Immortals move through walls and shoot all the murdered devil things. We've got 3 units of 3 Scarabs. Now, I'm surprised people aren't on Scarabs more. I mean, I understand that there's 0 OC, but they also get OC as long as they're near the Technomancer, so that kind of solves himself. You typically run 2 to 3 Technomancers in this army, and they're cheap and do actions, and that's like my favorite thing in this game. So then we've got a Canoptic Spider. You rarely see Canoptic Spiders, but here you go. You got 2 units of 6 rates and a unit of 3 Tin Blades. Pretty standard Necron stuff, I would say. A little bit less of everything, but we have triple Satan to make up for it. And that's more of a variation that I find more common in the States, is the more Satan-heavy variations. So nicely done to Matt Bell. Getting a 98-point draw is pretty crazy, and he did it against Will Whitaker with his Chaos Space Marines in 12th place here. Can't fix what ain't broke. Ain't that true? 1, 2, 3 Chaos Lords, all mark of Undivided. 1, 2, 3 Dark Communes. 1's Nurgle. 2's Undivided. This is probably a copy-paste of Manny Chima's World Championships of Warhammer list. 1, 2 Rhinos. Oh, I think Manny had 3. 1, 2, 3 Cursed Occultist Blobs. 5 Chosen, 5 Chosen, 5 Chosen. Forge Fiend, Nurglings, Seleskis. Okay, so we're not taking the Legionnaires that Manny took, but we took a little bit more Demons and a second Forge Fiend, which is very, very side-grady. I actually prefer the Legionnaires. I think they're a great choice for the Chosen complement. But nonetheless, you cannot deny the power of this army and the effectiveness of it, going 4-0-1. Actually knocking out Tony Chu, who's a name I haven't seen in a minute. He's an amazing player. I'm very curious what Tony's been running. If you can't beat him, then play Eldar. Yeah, Tony's got a bit of a different Eldar list of what we're normally used to seeing, but nonetheless, we have no appreciation for the Eldar of the world at this moment. So that pretty much wraps out our top 12. I know I'm gonna do Brian the service of looking at his list because he's my boy on Team America. No, this list has been corrected by TO. That's what you want to see as the first line. I like the name, whatever the Orc detachment is called. Beast Boss on Squigosaur, War Boss on a Warbike with a super cyborg body, 2 regular War Bosses, 2 Mega Bosses, Captain Badrock, and Mazrock Scragbats. A lot of characters here, 8 characters. We're just giving them Assassinate. 10 boys, 5 trucks, 10 flash kits, 10 grots, 5 Meganobs, 5 Meganobs, 5 knobs, and 5 knobs. Orc stuff, way less OC than I'm used to. I'm used to like 50, 60 boys in here, but other than that, it's definitely Orc stuff. All right, everybody. Really, really nice tournament. Really great way to start the year off. 345 players in attendance. Nice 7-rounder. Congratulations to Josh Roberts for taking down the whole thing with Necrons of all factions. I mean, not that we didn't think Necrons were the bee's knees and all the cat's pajamas these days, especially pre-FAQ. But man, is it true? 100, 100, 100, 95, 100, 100, 92. What a record. I don't think I've ever even come close to that kind of battle point record at a tournament, at a super major nonetheless. So really impressive run by Josh, and really impressive run for Warhammer as a game. You know, look at that field. We've got Necrons, Eldari, Tyranids, Black Templars, Necrons, Eldari, World Eaters, Dark Angels, Astra Militarum, Chaos Knights in top 10. We've got 8 different factions in top 10. That's pretty damn good. And overall, I'm very happy for the meta. I think with a little bit of fine-tuning and tweaking from an upcoming balance data slate, we have a lot to be excited for, and a new codex is releasing all through the new year. Really excited for the state of Warhammer, really excited to get back in the saddle with content and get back to all of you, our beautiful audience. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for staying with us. Show your support by subscribing to this channel. Like the video, leave a comment letting us know what you think and what other videos you want us to do in the future. We're going to be really reevaluating our content style, upgrading how we do things, getting more editing involved, and really trying to make your viewing experience a lot better as we move further and further into the new year. So thank you so much for your endless support for us. You can check out the War Room for a 3-day free trial in the link below. That's our subscription content area where we teach you how to actually learn the game and become your best. So if you're learning and interested in learning how to get better at Warhammer, learning how to go to tournaments, learning how to even just hang out and do better than your friends at your local scenes, this is the place for you. It is a 3-day free trial. It's very easy to cancel if it's not for you, but I'm sure you're going to have an amazing experience if you check it out. Not only do we have 3 coaching matches per week, but we also do faction videos on all the various factions and strategic and tactical advice that kind of transcends faction or edition. It's just how to get better at Warhammer. That's really what we focus on. So thank you so much for watching, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Monday, and we'll catch you later.